Hey, everybody, welcome to the Fuzed Relativity Podcast, episode number 2.
Come on, we made it to 2, everybody. Give yourself, I know, Anna, but seriously, twice as many as I thought.
You're not wrong.
We're back. My name is Chris.
Or Skull and Arms, as he is on the Discord icon.
And then we got John and Kirk.
I'm D Infinity X.
By the way, Skulls and Arm, Chris, it makes me think of a skeleton getting a noogie. So is that what you were going for?
Let's say yes.
Well, all right. Skeleton noogie. I can go with that.
I really hope that wasn't double sending. I just realized something. Oops. It should be good now. Let's continue.
Yeah, so can we talk? Okay, we're broadcasting this, podcasting this, whatever. I don't know, whatever. We're talking in Colorado, and I moved from Arizona like 5 years ago, and basically the weather person here goes, "Hey, it's gonna snow like a foot. It's gonna be crazy snow. It's gonna start snowing 10 p.m. and it's gonna go all day." And then there was a little dusting, so he missed it by like a foot and a half, and it just doesn't seem nobody seems to care. Like, I was in Arizona when they said it was going to rain. They nailed it because they were so excited. It was a big deal. We don't get it happens 4 days a year, so So I'm used to more accuracy in my weather forecasters, is what I'm saying. Anybody back me up or want to fight me in the parking lot? Meet me at the flagpole.
No, the other 361 days a year, Kirk, the weatherman gets on and says, "It's going to be fucking hot today."
And you know what? It's going to be hot. He's nailed it.
Yeah, see,
it's consistency, yes.
I was arguing with, or not arguing, but yeah, me and the people I work with, we all figured, yeah, no, it's not going to snow all that much. It's going to be, mild dusting. It's getting a little bit heavier down here tonight, though. That's for sure.
Well,
the first year I moved here. Oh, sorry. The first year I moved here, I remember they go, "It's going to snow a couple inches," and then I woke up the next day and it snowed enough where it shut down the airport, and I'm like, "Wow, you're not good at your job."
Yeah, no, they never are here.
And when they hype up snowstorms to where they're like, "Yeah, it's going to be the worst snowstorm in 10 years," you pretty much guess it's just not going to do very much.
Or
it's just the news hyping everything is just okay. I'll be more aware of that because I stocked up on meat from Moe's and I have 3 pounds of meat and I've still have a pound left, but I'm doing good. But yeah, it didn't really snow that much.
Yeah, no, they're terrible here. Like, was it 2 years ago with those bomb cyclones? That's the first time I've ever been stuck in snow because they were like, "Oh, it's going to be a little bit of a blizzard." And I made it halfway to work before my car got stuck. And the north end of Colorado Springs was shut down.
Yeah, those were pretty bad.
If they just say it a little different, man, that cyclone was the bomb. That sounds much more pleasant and much more positive than bomb cyclone. So that's all you spin it.
It wasn't a very pleasant experience.
It wasn't the bomb, which is not the bomb at all? Okay, all right. No, not even bomb-like.
Well, I mean, the wind.
So, how'd everybody's week go? Did you guys have a good week, bad week? Get get things going?
Well, it was a week. I know I said I was like, I want to vent. Just because work. It got better.
I got backed into by a semi. So that kind of pissed me off, but
And you weren't even in your car. That was really hurt. I don't know how you're still alive and doing this podcast. You know what? You're like the Carl Ripken Jr. You know what I mean? Like, you never miss a podcast, even though you got run over by a semi.
You should have seen the bumper after he hit me, man.
I was going to say...
It had lots of my blood and, tears on it.
Right. He's still hosing off to try to get the smell off. It's like when you hit a skunk, It's the same thing.
So, interestingly enough, since you brought it up, Kirk, I do have a little bit of a surprise for you this week. John, if you'd be so kind.
Let's hope this works. I think it should work. All right. Are you still watching the Discord?
Yeah,
Kirk?
yeah.
There you go, Kirk. Oop. Didn't want to move that.
Did you make dog poop from your 3D printer? Is that what that is?
That right there is a 3D printed dog turd, Kirk.
Yep.
Wow.
Just
was
for
there
you.
Was there a model for that, or did you
Yes,
actually?
yes, there was.
So I see you went to the classic beige. It looks like more of a terrier. Okay, good sized dog. Not a Saint Bernard or anything, but not a Chihuahua. Nice midsize. Well done.
Well, I didn't, I only had so much paint, so I didn't want to get too crazy, but I was excited to make this for you.
See, and this is what, if you have your own 3D printer, you can make that or a house. Either way, or a rocket that goes to or this. This is good too.
And if anybody, because I'm gonna send this one to you, Kirk, and it'll be a nice present.
Okay.
I'm going to send this one to you, and if anybody else, anyone who is viewing this podcast would like one of these 3D printed turds, hit us up at our Twitter, and we'll send you one.
I would say be a little bit more specific with that instead of getting 1,000 requests for dog turds.
Hey, if 1,000 people want dog turds, then you know what? I'll run my printer day and night.
You do that.
This guy's committed. He's committed to the cause. You know what I mean? This is good. Are you gonna do vegan dog turds as well? I mean, how?
All right. We'll take the that off the screen there. So Kirk, you did mention, I mean, I know you know this, but you were talking about the 3D houses, or 3D printed houses, sorry. Chris, tell us about those.
I'm actually a little bit excited about these. Been looking into them, and this company Icon is based out of Austin, Texas, has started getting into the market of 3D printed homes. And it's a really cool concept. They started as a company, their mission was kind of to build low-income housing with 3D printers in like Mexico. So they would have, not very big, but houses to live in. And they started 3D printing a little more luxury houses in Austin, and they've gone on the market recently for about $450,000, which for a 2-story home in Austin isn't actually that bad, and the process is pretty sweet.
Well, it's I was watching some of the videos. It's essentially they picture loading up a giant 3D printer and driving it to the site, and then it does. That's what you're not like building it someplace else and then assembling it. Like they just take the giant printer to where they want the house. So it just looks like it's expelling a giant gray wool sock on top of one another, but it's concrete, and it's insane.
Yeah, they use a proprietary concrete blend that they get from Portland Cement, I think is the company. I might be wrong on that, but they can only do the bottom floor. So the first story is the only one that they can successfully 3D print at this moment. And the trailer itself that holds the printer is 11 feet tall, 33 feet wide, and it can do a 28-foot slab. So they started printing these fairly decent-sized homes, and then they have to use a more classical construction, wood framing to do the second story. But if you look at some of the pictures from this company, these houses look really, really nice.
Have they? Because I know they started with tiny homes. Have they moved up to like more regular size homes? Because if you're using tiny homes, then it seems like you'd be putting tiny construction workers out of business. I don't like that. I don't like that implication there.
They can build up to, I think, 2,000 square foot homes at this moment. And, so, it's a pretty good sized house.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that tiny.
And they're not the only ones doing it. There's other companies that are also doing a very similar techniques to printing houses. I've seen quite a few over the years that were, it's just concrete being laid out layer by layer, which the only thing I am curious about is how do they reinforce it? Because isn't most concrete-based houses reinforced with rebar?
As far as I know, I don't think they're using rebar. The proprietary cement that they're using is designed to hold the structure of the house, and so it's just layer by layer concrete that's going on top, and it hardens enough in between layers that they can just stack on top, and then once it hardens, it's pretty well set to go.
Yeah, I've seen the video of that one. I just remember ones that were hollow. It was they did the line, but in between each wall there was a gap. I would assume it was for insulation and the like.
Yeah, probably insulation. I do know that one of the things that they tout is that the concrete first layer is very good at insulating because it's concrete. It's not, it's a little better protected from the elements, so they don't necessarily need as much insulation, but I do imagine they still need some.
Other than the radiation.
Well, do you guys know that the name of the most recent 3D printer that does this? You know the name of it, what it's called?
It is the Vulcan 2.
The Vulcan 2. And to me, it's just like, all right, we get it. It's kind of nerdy what we're dealing with. Do you really need to bring Star Trek into this? Anybody else?
Star Trek's everywhere, though. We had the Shuttle Enterprise.
Kirk, do you need me to 3D print you one of those?
What?
Hey, John, quick question. So I was looking on their website, and it said that it can only print on a 28 foot wide pad, but it said the length could be effectively infinite.
So
do you think that's because you could just move the trailer?
Yes. At the video or one of the videos, I don't even know if it's the same company, but the video I saw, they're just moving the platform, where the printer's just going left and right, and the platform's kind of moving, but you can just move the platform down and keep printing, kind of like, have you seen the CRS 30? I want to say it is the treadmill looking one.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about, there's a 3D printer, Kirk, it's angled at a 45-degree angle, and there's a treadmill that it prints onto, which effectively removes one of the big limitations of 3D printers, which is how high it can print. Because if you can print at a 45-degree angle and your print just kind of keeps moving away from the printer head, you can effectively print something that is as long as you want it to be.
Okay, just endless, because the track would just keep moving. Okay,
you're still limited to the probably, what is it, 200 by 200 millimeter build size, but the height can be as high as you want it to be.
Well, is it with the 3D printing houses? Is anybody else concerned this may make dealing with contractors difficult? Because if you ever think about this, contractors normally, and then you add a computer technology kind of dick to it too, it seems like a bad combo. Does that make sense? You have the guy like, look, I'll show up when you know what I mean? Like they're not really great at showing up when they say they're going to show up, and then you add oh, you don't have the right adapter, and this doesn't set up for Wi-Fi, so we can't do that right now because you don't have the proper. You know what I mean? Mixed with a contractor. It just seems like a bad hybrid. I don't like where it's going.
Yeah.
And it's, I think one of the things that they say is that you don't really need more than one. Like they have one or two guys that show up to the site and just kind of make sure that the printer is doing what it's supposed to, which kind of takes away a lot of that. There's not a whole lot of hands in the pot on that one. So it might actually make things better.
And I'm just looking at the video from the company site. They do leave that gap in the middle, just like the one I saw it, and it looks like it's partially structural and partially probably to run the
Piping.
electricals. Yeah, all the piping and everything else that needs to get run through it.
And probably, I mean, and if you can, even a double walled, scenario doesn't. It's still cool, as far as like.
Absolutely.
You're not able to do it in one pass, but two passes. The idea that you could 3D print a house, it still kind of shocks me a little bit.
Well, and like we were talking about last week, I mean, this is just getting started. The patents for 3D printing have only been in the open for what, 10 years, 11?
Well, I think we're missing the obvious. Can you make a house with the 3D printer that looks like a giant dog turd? That's going to be the
You
ultimate
probably
test.
could.
That's going to be like, it's the old Jenkins house. It looks like a big poop. Okay, just the poop house. Okay.
Kirk, I am going to email that company just for you.
and build me a house. That'd be fun. That'd be one of those house makeovers. We fixed your house, and then knock down their house, and then bring it back, and it's like it looks like a giant Labrador crap. What? Why did you do that?
No, that's not. Wait, yep, that's what that is. But it could be could be done. Deep Kirk, I proved that 3D printers have a lot of things you can do with them, such as printing dog turds.
Right. So you proved it could be. So they have ones that make houses. I'm sure it was a silly. You know what? It was a silly question. I withdraw the question, Your Honor. That was. It was a gift. Of course, you can do it. 3D printers are amazing.
So, I was gonna say, to bring back to the point, because I thought it was longer than it was. It's been 7 years since the patents on 3D printing expired.
Okay, so relatively young as far as a technology is concerned, as far as a consumer technology goes.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I was going to bring it up real quick. I know we touched on it last week, but I kind of wanted to do a quick little run on what printers we have, John, and then kind of where a good spot is to, if you're just looking to get into 3D printing, what would be a good starting point for you?
Yeah, so I know you cut out when I was talking about this, but currently I have a Prusa Mark IIs, an Ender Pro 3, and an Elegoo Mars Pro 2. No, not Pro, just an Elegoo Mars 2.
Okay, and I've got Anycubic is the brand, and it's a Mega S. And I'll just touch on my printer real quick. It is a very easy interface. It kind of does whatever you want it to do. It's plug and play. And I think I paid like $249 for it on sale from them directly. And I feel like it's a pretty good starting point, and I think it sits right around the Ender Pro.
Yeah, I haven't seen your printer or looked too much into it, but the Ender Pro is about, well, not even the Ender Pro. The Ender 3 is what, 220? Somewhere in there? And
yeah, around there.
Pro's just got a few more features on it. And it took me half an hour to set up and probably 20 minutes to tweak a little bit here and there to get it going so that it could start printing. And Yeah, I had it going within 2 hours printing its first test print.
Yeah, mine, I think I had to screw in a few screws and level the print bed, and then it was pretty much ready to go. So I like the ones that don't require a whole lot of assembly.
So like my
Because,
Prusa.
yeah, your Prusa, that's a little more expensive. That's a model that people would get into if they're really looking to get deep into 3D printing. It's very nice, but a little more expensive and a little more intuitive for putting it together and
And here's the
getting it
thing.
set up.
Quality wise, well, I'll preface this and say quality and speed wise, my printer, which is I bought almost 3 years ago, when it was working, I still have to replace the hot end. Um, the quality and speed that it could print far blows out the Ender 3 Pro, which was just released a year ago. Plus the features it has, like auto bed leveling, which most entry level printers don't have, as well as actually no, that's pretty much it off the top of my head. I know there's a lot of little features that it has, but the big one is the auto bed leveling.
Well, and the Anycubic, people who look at the dog turd that I printed for Kirk, the quality actually is really very good. But I feel, yeah, see, the quality is good, but I feel like the Prusa might have done a little better job. I mean, you can see a little bit of imperfection there, which occasionally happens on 3D prints. But you don't want to scrap it when it takes 3 hours to print something. So
That took 3 hours?
yeah, it was about 3 hours.
Huh.
They're
Time
not
well spent, my friend.
Well, the beauty of it is, Kirk, is you just click print and then you walk away. You don't
Right. It's like you set it and forget it.
pretty much. And I was going to point out real quick, because I think between me and John, we're going to have to, get Kirk a 3D printer so that he can make his own dog turds at some point. And I did have my first printer was a Da Vinci, which is more of a student model printer. They kind of gear towards like classrooms, but they're very easy to use, and they come in a pre-assembled container. Basically, it has its own covered shell. Super easy to use. You plug it in and you print.
So even a dummy like me is what you're. That's the gist I'm getting.
Yes, that is exactly what I was saying. Even a dummy like Kirk could handle that one. So anybody who's looking to get into 3D printing relatively easily, Da Vinci is a good one to go with.
And you know what? The first thing I'm going to make a 3D mold of, I'm going to make a 3D printing flipping you the bird. How about that? And I'll send it to you, and we can, as a thank you.
How about an octopus giving you 8 fingers? Because that's a thing.
That's glorious. Where do I find that file?
Have you not seen that?
I have not seen that.
You haven't seen an octopus flipping somebody out? That's what you're saying?
Hold on, let me. Thingiverse is just not working today.
By the way, shout out to Thingiverse, who had the dog turd file for me. I really appreciated that.
Shout out, you're doing God's work. You're doing the without you. No.
You're
Without you, Thingiverse, Kirk would not have his own 3D dog turd.
Right. And that would be the true tragedy.
Well, while we keep talking, I'll try and find this so that I can, because it's not agreeing with us right now, or with me right now. What I was gonna say though is I am actually about to get the Mark III's, Chris.
Oh, that's cool.
The Beast. They call her the Beast, don't they?
Yeah.
They don't.
No, it's when I built the Mark II's, it took probably about 10 hours. I think I spent almost a whole Saturday building it. Do I still have... All right, let me see if this works. This is on Thingiverse. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, it did. Kind of. Hold on.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's an octopus flipping you the bird.
Yeah. You know.
It looks like they could, like in a diner, it looks like they could put the paper down too instead of the metal. They could just put it on the... All right, orders up. Flapjacks. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, and it is amazing. I haven't printed that one. I printed another one that was, sans middle fingers. There it is. What I was trying to get to, I was trying to find, because this site is not ideal, I wanted to see how quickly, because Chris said it took him 3 hours to print. I wanted to see how long it would take my printer. So Chris, what do you want to talk about next?
So I'm going to bring this up real quick, and I'll bring it back later in the show, but I wanted to throw this out there and see what you thought, because it was just something I thought of the other day that it made me giggle a little bit. But theoretically tonight is the 2 o'clock is when the time change happens, when we go forward 1 hour. And I feel like theoretically that's a form of time travel.
Well, at least for now, but you're not entirely wrong. I have worked through many of the late night shifts during spring forward and fall back.
I mean, just the thought that we jump ahead 1 hour in time, that's kind of trippy.
Yeah, it doesn't really help you on sports gambling, though. You know what I mean? It doesn't. You don't really get a jump on much. Oh, I know the game was going to start an hour earlier. I'll bet you on that.
Kirk, why do you have to kill my dreams?
No, I was saying it is, but it's a low grade. It's time traveling for the 99 percenters. How about that? I'm sure the 1 percenters have their own form that actually works, but we just get an hour. And just, you know what? As an Arizonian who grew up there, I'm hostile about changing my clocks, because we're again it in Arizona. We don't need any more daylight saved. We're stocked up on it, so we don't do it. So it's an annoyance to me to have to change my clock.
Yeah, but once again, you guys have plenty of sunshine and plenty of heat. So...
Right. We don't need no more. We don't need to save no more. The quicker the sun can go down, perfect. There's 4 months of terrible, terrible hibernation heat weather.
I'm surprised you got that to print, Chris.
I don't know what to say. It did take a few tries. My printer wasn't happy with it initially.
Neither is mine. Because I just pulled it up and there's nothing touching the actual print bed. I assume you had to print with supports?
Yeah, there was supports on. It was very there was a bottom layer of supports, which wasn't very thick supports, so it was easy to clean up.
Yeah. So time-wise, the presser can do it in about 2.5 hours.
All right. So your much better printer can shave a half hour off of what his did.
Well, yeah.
Right.
And the print quality would probably be just a touch better.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's nope. Go away.
Don't tell the listeners to go away. You're bad at tell them.
I know. No,
that's what we're going for here, John.
Yeah, somebody just turned in. They go, "Oh no, go away!" Like, all right, fine. Jesus, this is the most unfriendly podcast ever.
I was trying to click back on Discord and I clicked on Loop Hero. I didn't realize it was still open. Not to say
I was gonna switch real quick. So we're gonna try out a new little segment here, and our good friend Kirk is going to take over for a minute and kind of give you a little bit of what's going on in Kirk's corner.
Oh, look at that! They made me a little corner in there, and it's a table. It's not a chair, so they don't want me sitting down. But anyway, but look at this little tree I can look out.
I was trying to make a stool.
Is that what that? Oh, hey, what? You know what? Look beautiful. I can put a next time. Just put a glass of water there. That'd be awesome.
Well, that's what I was telling Chris. Is I think every week I'm going to go in and just add a little bit of tweaks here and there.
Oh, I'd love it, and then I'll notice. So yeah, I can then talk about what's going on, because I do like. Looks like we got a Dutch elm over there. No, it's, you know what? That's got to be an aspen. I planted trees for a bit. That's got to be the aspen tree out there. So if you could mix up the tree, the flaming maple is really what you wanted. That's the bread and butter of trees. As someone who's planted trees in Colorado for several years. But okay, Kirk's Corner. Okay, you know what? Everybody's been. I don't know. I was talking to Chris about sports talk radio recently, so sports have been on my brain. So I came up with a list. Everybody knows all the sports team mascots. I came up with a list of the least scary team names. So that's the least scary. Like the first was just, the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a bird. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Not many people. I hope you're not frightened of that. And then, of course, who doesn't know about the Maine tight parking spaces? There. The Maine tight park, or the
sound real.
Quiet. It's Kirk's Corner. You can come on. You at least go with the bit. And then, what are you familiar with the San Diego Eggos? San Diego Eggos. You can't let go of the San Diego Eggos. They're not, but no one's scared of them. Is what I'm. It's the Mississippi Bad Spellers. Nobody. It's probably their state. It's there's a lot of letters. And then, of course, the Philadelphia Unexpected Callers. No one. It just frightens people. It's more unsettling. And the Missouri Muddy Shoes. That's not too many. I mean, you don't want them walking on your carpet, but it's the Fighting Muddy Shoes is not, it's not a lion, is what I'm saying.
We should get all of those teams together and have like a, death match tournament just to see who comes out on top.
Sort of a battle royale. It is March Madness, and so maybe we could set that up. What comes after March? Is it April? Is that right? Okay, yeah. So we'll set it up for April then, because we don't want to try to steal the thunder of March Madness. Let March Madness have its thing.
Oh, I've got such a good idea. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
We will set up the April worst mascots ever tag team battle royale tournament. And just see who comes out on top. I have my money on the tight parking spaces.
The main tight parking spaces. Okay.
Those can be kind of scary.
Okay. And sort of another similar vein. If you guys are if we have basically, I came up with the Washington Redskins are no longer the Redskins; they're the Washington football team. So I have the list of the next team names that might be on the chopping block. You know what I mean? If we're getting rid of Redskins, let's clean up some of these other ones that we may have forgotten about. Like the Saratoga Shitbags. They that doesn't look good on the minor league logo. The kids can't go to school with the Saratoga Shitbags. That's or the Wyoming White Supremacist. I mean, probably factually, but you don't want to draw. We're trying to go against that. The Scottsdale Wrong Phone Number Givers. You're in the club and somebody ghosts. That's bitches. And then lastly, not least, the one I think is next are the New England Elevator Farters, because nobody likes that. Everybody can get behind banning the New England Elevator Farters.
Yeah, let's get rid of that team.
Thank you.
Cut them right out.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if Tom Brady wants to join him again. No, you're not. Nope, can't do it.
I'm not going to accept Boston as Beantown as an excuse.
Exactly. And by the way, just P.S. Like, Boston is Beantown, but then Chicago is the Windy City. What gives? It seems like, I don't
know. And with that was Kirk's Corner. Little break for the middle of the show. Hopefully every week we will get some gems like that from Kirk himself.
Why, thank you. Yes, and you never know what's coming up in Kirk's Corner, but it won't be educational at all. It'll be completely silly and random, and but How about back to the show? Let's learn. What are we talking about next, guys? Are we moving on to the rocket ship?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Before we
John,
get
I'll
to,
let you.
well, I
Oh,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say before we get to the 3D printed rocket ship, which is fascinating nonetheless. Have either of you heard about what's happening with the next Starship?
I
I
have
would
not.
assume not, because
I have not.
so like I was saying earlier, or kind of last week, the whole point of what they're trying to do is to get stuff out on the pad and ready to go as fast as possible. They've already got the next one on the pad and already have cryogenically proofed it. As far as I didn't actually watch the NASA. I'm spacing the name. Space Fight Now, NSF. I didn't watch the stream, but I believe that they've already cryoproofed SN11, and that could potentially go to launch in the next, probably not next week, but the week after.
You know, I
Space race. It's like we're in another space race. It seems
Yeah.
like there's so many new things at the same time.
Except
it seems
it's all Elon Musk racing himself.
I did read a little bit of an article about that, and I found it kind of interesting because they they absolutely they interesting. They, they absolutely are fast tracking that one, and they're trying really hard to fix the problems from the 10. Basically, like you said, the hard landing that caused the explosion.
Well,
And I thought it was the thing I thought was funny was uh, Elon, for being a really good engineer and problem solver, actually had an idea of wanting to land his rockets on a bouncy castle of sorts.
that doesn't
I think
surprise me.
he was just trying to multitask with his kid's birthday at the same time. So he was just trying to kill two birds with one stone kind of thing. Is my theory.
Well,
I just got a kick out of it because I saw bouncy castle and Elon Musk in the same sentence.
I mean, it's not the first time an outrageous idea has been suggested. I mean, he's bought an oil platform to land the rockets on, potentially launch too.
It does seem kind of like Wile E. Coyote though in Roadrunner territory. I got to, you know what I mean? Like that would be like, I could see the coyote would totally think that would work.
But on the other hand, I was thinking about it, and couldn't you sell tickets to that and like have it land over an ocean, and then you put kids on the other side, like the blob thing that you jump on and it launches you way off into the water?
I mean, if you want the kids to get to orbit,
two birds with one stone.
because
you get to go to space and you get to ride a blob.
Childhood obesity, they're already blobs. Hey-oh, come on. You know what? The rocket would hit, and then it wouldn't move the kids, and the kids would relaunch the rocket, and then they would lose the rocket. So, no.
Because, I just had to look this up. The dry mass is, 400,000 pounds. I think one blob and a starship could easily launch even an average-sized adult to space.
That sounds like a $5 wager. All right, make it happen, smart guy.
All right, Kirk, I volunteer you.
No. It's got to be a kid. It's more fun. They're already on the bouncy castle.
But to bring it back to the SN11, this is actually, the 11 is the last one of the first batch. Because the next one is actually going to be SN15, which has a ton of improvements to it that a lot of people that haven't been discussed yet. And from my understanding, is they really want to get the SN11 to do what it's supposed to do, which is launch, land, all of that, before they try the 15 with all the new improvements.
I'm impressed by the speed and the efficiency that they move at. I mean, it takes a lot to get a rocket into space, and they seem like they're moving at a warp speed.
Oh, absolutely. There was I doubt I want to say I saved it, but I doubt I did. Yeah, I didn't. There was a graphic that showed it was like 2 to 3 months from getting SN8 on the pad to launching, and then 9 was like a month, and then 10 was a couple weeks, and I would assume 11's going to be, like I said, it'll probably launch not next week, but the week after. If I had to guess.
This may be the old. I'm 41. I'm the old guy here. But it just like the speed at which they're bragging about we're building rockets this fast. To me, if you're going to space, take your time. Slow down. Make sure all the screws are tightened. You know what I mean? Like I don't need you can give me a burrito in 90 seconds. I don't need a spaceship. Lickety split. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just.
And that's the thing is, these aren't spaceships. These are test vehicles. They're not designed to go to space. That's not the intention. The intention is to make sure that they work the way they're supposed to when they're coming back from space.
Space ready yet, so they're not going that full out yet. Like these are just okay.
No.
Okay.
These are the rapid tests. That is something that is not seen often in space engineering because it's expensive. Now, when you're launching steel tubes filled with methane and oxygen, a little less expensive than, say, launching the shuttle. Like you wouldn't.
They're not putting like killer decals and a spoiler on these. These aren't.
Not yet.
Show ponies.
Yeah, no. These are just to make sure everything's working how it should, and that they get enough testing information to make sure that when they finally do put them into space, they come back the way they're supposed to.
Can I, when they get it right, but seriously, some bitchin' flames? Seriously? You put some bitchin' flames on it, and then if flames start to come, they're like, oh, those flames are already there.
Some hot rod red.
Crisis averted. It was thinking about, no, I just saved the space shuttle. You're welcome, America.
That sounded so much like Tony Stark. Just "You're welcome, America" from Iron Man 2.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. If we could just make rockets a little less phallic, that would be awesome.
Well, I mean, if they would have. That.
Apparently, that's the best. That's the best way. I guess is just all right. I guess
at least
aerodynamically.
You know what? I think scientists are flying under the radar of actually just being immature, but they're laying at the feet. The scientists must know what they're doing, or they're just immature little school tittering. We made a rocket penis again.
At least they're not levels of Austin Powers phallic.
No, but it leads me into an article that I saw the other day.
Good segue.
Yeah, where are you going with this?
So apparently, the next great idea is to build an underground lunar base on Mars, which essentially will be a storage facility for 6.7 million sperm.
Like a sperm bank, essentially. Sperm bank in space, in a crater of...
Now, you said Mars, a lunar base on Mars.
Well, I fucked up. All right, it's a lunar base on the moon.
See that?
I was gonna say
be on Mars, dumbass.
Well, the logistics of it, like storing stuff on the moon, makes a little bit more sense than storing stuff on Mars.
No, if you weren't such a dick, you wouldn't have pointed it out.
But you're too good for U-Haul? You can't get to storage? You got to go to Mars or the moon? You can't just put a storage unit here? I think you're better than that.
But seriously, they want to send up 6.7 million sperm and store them underneath the surface of the moon in a cryobank of people, human beings, and animals, kind of like Noah's Ark, but underneath the surface of the moon.
They already have that, don't they? And I want to say it's in like Denmark or Finland, something like that.
Maybe.
Is it true? They've labeled them by it's like a cattle ranch where they just brand the sperm what animal it is. They say, psst.
Yeah,
and they know that's an elephant.
No, so
it just seems like that's like the perfect setup for an alien movie. I just feel like something bad is going to happen if we start messing around with that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but the idea behind it is, because it is true, it is in Norway. They have a seed vault where they keep seeds of, I'm assuming most species of plants. I don't think they carry sperm or anything like that, but that's already a concept, because if there was a global catastrophe, or I think it was brought about with nuclear doomsday, that you would have this bunker where all of the seeds are that you could potentially repopulate the planet after fallout.
Was this like connected with the biosphere? Because I remember that was down in Tucson, like back in the 80s, 90s, you know what I mean, where they tried to set up a lunar kind of like, this is outer space, so you have to grow everything. Is it similar to that?
Shore was in that
I was
movie.
gonna say I do remember Pauly Shore.
Yes, there was an actual thing too, but yes, the Pauly Shore movie.
Yeah, no, I know they've been trying to do biosphere experiments forever.
There's just always that one asshole who comes in who doesn't know anything and messes up the whole world.
Solves everything.
Right. I think what's really going to bring the world together is if they make Biodome 2 and just the hatred of all. We'll really bond us back together as one. Just unite us against Pauly Shore movies. I think you can do it.
Well, with that, I think we should get to our next topic. Just
Yeah,
for
because
something different. John, I'm going to let you take a crack at this one.
Are you talking about the 3D printed spaceships?
Yeah, Relativity Space. What a cool concept and company. It seems
Well,
like
it's kind of merging both topics that we're talking about, because essentially what they're doing is 3D printing the engine. I think they're also doing the pressure tanks and possibly the shell.
the whole rocket.
Well, yeah, but if you broke it down to what I'm pulling up the site right now. It's essentially just a metal 3D printer, which is something that obviously is not commercially available. But I think it's because it's not a traditional stand printer, if I'm correct, right?
Oh, and they use a proprietary alloy,
Yeah,
metal alloy, to print these rockets.
They would.
because the image I'm looking at,
Phallic.
well, I mean the rocket is, but the printer itself is more of a robotic arm with a extruder on it. If that's what I'm looking at, I could be looking at something different, but I'm assuming that they use the robotic arm to get a full 360 access to the to printing, which is something that is starting to be tested commercially to a degree, but it's still very a new technology. Like we said, it's commercial use has only been around for about 7-ish years outside of the patents.
Surprised because on their website it says that they can go from raw material to launch in about 60 days.
Well, I mean, that's not out of realm of possibility. If you had 1,000 printers and you were trying to print 1,000 different parts, even if they took a day, you're still going to get all the parts printed in a day, and it's just assembling them.
Wait, so if you took 1,000 monkeys and had them work at 1,000 3D printers, could they create the next big city?
Probably. Well, I don't know if 1,000.
They might just monkeys. They might just start throwing poo at each other, and then
figure
out how to 3D print it and then start throwing that at each other.
After they would learn it from watching you, Chris. So that's what they would figure. You know what I mean? You were like, oh, that guy's doing it, so it looks like fun.
And if he can do it, then I can do it. So.
Right. Monkeys. It's literally monkey see, monkey do.
That is correct.
I walked right in. Done. Okay.
So, so
I need
uh,
this. I need a soundboard.
Can you get a rim shot, please? Would that kill you? I mean, with all your technology, we can fly a rocket ship to Mars, and you can't get me a goddamn drone. Come on. All right. If I don't have it next episode, I walk.
so, hey, you're under contract.
You guys should see my writer to do a podcast. They had to lobby me pretty hard. You know what I mean? I was looking at a lot of other podcasts.
So, John, the max payload on this guy, now this is the top max, is 1,250 kilograms. How does that, do you think, compare to the Starship and the current
See,
SpaceX?
and that's the problem is because you said 1,250 kilograms, so just over half a ton.
Yeah, about.
No.
Well, it's like it's a ton essentially, ton and a half.
So, and that's where it gets. Oh yeah, you're right, because I'm thinking kilos. So the Falcon 9, which is mostly reusable, can get close to 50,000 pounds or what, 25 tons to low Earth orbit. I mean, it could, in theory, they have it listed here as the Falcon 9 could get 4 tons to potential Mars. I mean, and they didn't demonstrate it with the Falcon 9, but with the Falcon Heavy, I mean, they launched Elon's Roadster to Mars.
Right, and he had to pay for that car.
SpaceX is Elon Musk, and he's like 46 billion, and the next closest one is Relativity. So it's like Elon's company and everybody else is what it seems to be with this rocket stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people trying to get rockets to orbit. Like, is it Virgin Galactic just had a successful launch off their? I don't know if you've seen this. It would be one to look up. But they basically strap the rocket to a 747 and get it up to an altitude and launch the rocket like a missile. But same with the space relativity one, the payload just isn't big because the rockets tend to be smaller.
Okay, so one thing that I did look at, which I suppose maybe is more of their target, is that they use Aeon engines, which I didn't get to see too much of it. It looked like they were kind of their, I don't know if the Aeon engines are their thing or if it's a fairly widespread use engine, but they run off of liquid natural gas and liquid oxygen, which they said was eventually easier to make on Mars.
Well, and that's the thing with SpaceX. And you said it was using natural gas.
Yeah, liquid natural gas and liquid oxygen.
Well, see, and that's SpaceX is using liquid methane, which, like I would assume, like natural gas, is very easy to. I don't know how easier it is to refine methane versus natural gas, but with a payload of just over a ton, I don't see them getting much to Mars. Now, obviously, they could make a bigger rocket, and much like the Falcon 9, but I think by the time they're feasible to get to Mars, starships are already going to be coming and going from Mars.
Now, John, you said like more people are entering space or in rockets and trying to get into space. Seems like more than at any time. Are they in a race to go try to collect minerals and somehow bring them back and make money off of them, or is it just an attempt to get away from Chris? Really, is the main motivation.
Well, a big thing is commercial. Ever since NASA kind of closed or stopped sending their own rockets, they opened up to the commercial sector. So you have like things like Amazon's Blue Origin, and their New Glenn rocket that's trying to get up there. I want to say Rocket Lab.
It's like space tourism. It's just sort of instead of going to Tahiti, some person's going to go into space. Like that.
And that's exactly what they're planning. I just watched
Earth orbit, Kirk, is where they're trying to go. They're trying to give you like a, hey, come fly in low Earth orbit and see what the Earth looks like.
See the
way up here.
Rotate so you can see the Great Wall of China and the blah 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 all in 18 minutes or something like that.
And they're not planning. A lot of these companies aren't planning full orbits. Like I think it's Virgin Galactic that had the plane one that would get into like a suborbital flight, so you would get weightlessness and everything for a couple minutes. Blue Origin.
When we talk about orbits, we're not talking about the gum, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Blue Origin.
Just so we're clear.
Also trying to do like low suborbital tourism type stuff, I believe. Don't quote me on that one, because I know they're also planning on taking stuff to space and all of that. But
to that point, I think we should talk about the fact that just this last week they had announced that, I don't know who the company is, but they are projecting 2027 for the opening of the first space hotel.
Well, and that's exactly what I was about to talk about. Is I just watched a video talking about expansions that are coming to the ISS, the International Space Station, and they're actually planning on launching a commercial hub, or essentially hotel rooms to attach to the ISS, so that they could bring up tourists and get a live a couple days in space thing going on.
I'm picturing souvenirs, like I flew all the way to space and all I got was this lousy t-shirt, like stuff like that, and this airstick bag which I filled myself because I don't know,
and then it floated out and went right back into my mouth.
Yeah.
Oh well. Ugh.
But I mean, that's the biggest thing is space tourism is, I mean, it's not going to be for everyday people, because I think even tickets for like Blue, or was it Virgin Galactic's? They're like hundreds of thousands of dollars a ticket, and that's just for a suborbital little hop. Getting a ride on, let's say, a Dragon to the ISS would cost millions. And so much.
How long is it gonna? We need to make a light rail to space, is what you're saying, or some sort of Greyhound bus situation.
I know you're joking and everything, but that is a thing that is theoretically possible. A space elevator. Not something that we can currently build. You essentially put something way out into space and tether it to the Earth with a cable. And then you have an elevator that just goes up and down the cable. So instead of using a ton of...
That's a long time to have to smell somebody's fart.
Yeah, and that's why it's as realistic...
You could try not farting, Chris, but that's worked for some. I'm not going to, I don't want to, rain on your parade, but your fart parade, but you don't have to.
But yeah, that's the thing is a lot of companies are trying to get into this tourism because that's where the big money's going to go. Mostly because we have so many, millionaires and all of that would pay a decent amount of money to say, hey, I'm in space.
Right. Well, now I'm picturing just a bunch of really, really like the richest douchebag kids going for spring break in space and just being an ass. I'm totally weightless.
You're probably not far off from what will happen.
They drink too much. It's weightlessness. There's no atmosphere.
Yeah, all together. Oh my God, I'm totally weightless.
See, and to flip that, there is I want to say it's Dear Moon, but I could be wrong. But there is currently a competition that SpaceX is hosting. So I don't know his name, but there was a billionaire that bought tickets to. Basically bought a Dragon to fly, I want to say around the moon. I could be thinking of the wrong one.
Dragon? He bought a Dragon.
Well, the Falcon 9 or the Dragon.
Oh, the spaceship. Okay, yeah. It's called the Dragon. Okay.
Yeah. But
My mind drifted.
and there was a contest, so he bought the tickets, and he was not auctioning, but raffling them away with St. Jude, I want to say, and I think they had another one planned for later this year. But on the flip side, there can be those I'm spacing on the word, philanthropists that will pay for tickets for people to go, but I think it's definitely going to be a lottery system for anyone that doesn't have, 3 yachts and a horse stable.
Seems like a thing for a I mean, you're a rich person, you have oodles of money. I know what will help a poor person. Let them see space. No. How about give them money or something? Don't shoot a poor person into space. That's not going to help them out much. They're going to see the Earth that's not going well on. They don't need to see that.
I mean, I would not pass up on the option. That's for sure.
So, John, real quick, I did want to bring up back to Relativity Space.
Yeah.
One thing I found pretty cool is their whole process uses 1,000 total parts to build their rockets.
I wasn't far off with my 1,000 printer thing, was I?
No. And
there's so few parts. Like, it seems like they've forgotten. Like, I don't know. It seems like there's just more, like, how can you cut that many parts out of a rocket and still be a rocket?
Especially considering a NASA rocket that we shoot into space is about 100,000 parts. So they're using 10% of the parts.
Here's the thing. My guess would be that the fuel containers are all printed in one piece. The shell is all printed in one piece. The engine, for the most part, is printed in one piece. And then I would guess the majority of the parts are parts to the engine and various other, electronical things that they have to plug in and all of that stuff.
So like the grand piano in like the executive suite, like on the rocket.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at SpaceX, like they have a giant metal cylinder, which is, probably hundreds of metal sheets all welded together. There's one tank on the bottom, and this is something I was wrong last week. The engines sit on top of the liquid oxygen, and then there's a methane tank above it. And then there's 2 other tanks called the header tanks, which are kind of used for, if I'm not mistaken, feeding the rocket when it's landing.
Guys, John, I interrupt. Thank you for making that correction, because I was just in that part of building my own rocket, and you had it backwards. So thank you. You saved. It would have. I would have been blood on my face.
I mean, if you look at the Starship prototypes that they're building, there's not many. Well, there's a lot of parts, but it's all similar. Like the most complex thing that's on that Starship that's flying are the engines. And that's probably a majority of their parts is because there's 3 of them.
I'm a big fan of SpaceX. I really like what they're doing. But after doing a little research on this Relativity Space company, I think it's just one that I'm going to keep an eye on, because it looks like they have a pretty cool process going on over there.
And that's the thing is, if you can build a rocket on Earth with minerals, what's to stop you from going to space and building a rocket on Mars or on the moon or anywhere that you...
I mean, you get all the way to Mars and there's all these like building permits and like, God, this red tape on the red planet is killing us, damn it.
But I mean, that's the thing is, their concept is generally or unique, because if they can get a 3D printed rocket to work, there's nothing stopping them from being able to take up the raw materials and 3D print one somewhere else to come back.
So essentially what you're saying is we are on the verge of going to infinity and beyond. Thank you, Buzz Lightyear.
But I see the uniqueness of it is that, and even with the space station, it's, 3D printing is obviously the next step, and metal 3D printing is definitely going to bring us a lot closer to doing stuff that realistically wasn't exactly possible before, just due to complexity.
Anyway, metal 3D printing, of course, only prints Slayer, so that's not very helpful.
Depends on the song.
Yeah, to each his own.
Well, hey, I'm hoping that this week. Sorry, I'm segueing here. I wanted to get real quick to our favorite segment of Reddit React.
Well,
Hopefully
I was going to say, I looked earlier and I didn't see anything too interesting.
Could it be more just general and not just about 3D print? I mean,
well,
just
my next
if the 3D printing isn't interested.
We don't have to stick to the 3D printing aspect of
No,
Reddit.
no, I know. I just I'm just trying to think of what would be a good
subreddit.
Thing. Yeah.
3D printed dog turds and their uses in real life.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure, like, have people made like bicycles or like weird transportation, like remote control cars people have made or built or something? I mean, I'm sure they've come up with some crazy stuff.
One of the things that I did see, I was actually trying to make one this last winter, was OpenBot, which was, it's a robot, and essentially you 3D print the frame and your phone runs the robot. So you download an app and it actually runs off of your phone using the camera so it can follow paths and avoid obstacles. There's some crazy things that
Wait, so your phone is like a remote control? Like where you move it around?
Yes, or you can plant the phone on the robot itself and kind of have it drive itself around, and it can avoid obstacles and kind of do its own thing because it's using the camera for avoiding things.
Isn't that called a Roomba?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a Roomba that doesn't clean up after me. I don't need that.
Yeah. But it can follow you around like a dog.
Okay.
All right, what do we got here? We got some Reddit something going on, it looks like.
Hold on. I've got to fade.
Did the 3D printer make a DJ? That's what it looks like. It looked like it's.
All right. Oop. So
well done, 3D printer.
Yeah. So this one is this is one of the ones I did see to bring up this week, but it's a printer that doesn't exactly print like a normal printer. It, as you can see, the table spins and the arm kind of goes back and forth to spin it.
Okay, it looks like a Lazy Susan has an old school sewing machine on it. It looks like basically what it's going on.
And then this, I've actually printed one of these. I don't know if you have, Chris, but
dude, no, that's badass.
It's like a retracting pyramid. And it's man.
Yeah, I printed one of these. The problem was it once it falls out, it's kind of a little bit of a task to get everything back together. But
so
yeah,
for those listening on audio, it's like a pentagon or a hexagon, and it's kind of a puzzle. And as you pull the up or down, it makes kind of a wave effect. And
it's like almost like a screensaver. It looks sort of like a screensaver-ish, that kind of the old school ones that would bounce around a little bit.
Like a kaleidoscope back in the day. Where
there you go. Kaleidoscope that's a good one. Yeah, and if it made a noise, it would go bloop, bloop. So if that helps.
And all of these will be linked in the YouTube description, and I'll see about putting them in the podcast description as well.
Can you add a sound effect too? Just throw that in just for me.
And
if you got time.
So this one will be hard. Well, I'm sure if you were looking at this, Kirk, you wouldn't see why this is so impressive. I'm sure Chris can attest to why it's.
How the hell is it printing without supports?
See, and that's for the audio listeners, it is a Ender. I'm assuming an Ender 3 that is printing either the top or the bottom of a box without supports. So it is pulling the plastic from one edge to the other without anything underneath it. And that's a good demonstration of how cooling can be such a big help with 3D printing.
Dude, I'm blown away by this.
It's the cooler is making it not hot, so it's not dripping down, so that it's cooled it enough where it's staying rigid when it's not
I'm
supported.
assuming, so I can't tell because they don't show the side of the Ender 3, but there are add-ons to the Ender or printable add-ons to the Ender where you can direct the fan directly at where the plastic's coming out. So as it's printing, that plastic is cooling to the point where it can hold its tensile strength, and it's still connected to the nozzle as it's going. And there's much more elaborate examples of bridging than this video in of itself, but just the
really
fact that
amazing
that it's on an Ender 3, yeah. And that's the thing with Ender 3s is they're great, and as long as you can, they're a good starting point, but they need a lot of upgrades if you really want to get fancy stuff like this. I would almost guarantee he's got or there is a fan on there that is not stock that is cooling that down so that it can do what it needs to do.
Now, on the other hand, though, I know it's a cool picture, but why wouldn't you just flip the print over and do it?
Well, no, I would agree with you. And the next one, I did see this one. I thought it was...
They were stabbing a cat. It's a switchblade comb, and you think they're going to stab a kitten, and they just comb it. So that's better.
But
terrible form on the butterfly knife. Just saying.
But it goes into your functionality. Like, is that a necessity? No, but does it have a purpose? Yes.
Don't cats groom themselves? I never had a cat. Do you have to? You don't
yes.
comb a cat, do you?
Yes. Some cats are less enthusiastic about grooming than others. I've got
But
two.
if you're gonna print a butterfly knife comb, then why not?
Oh, speaking of, this is the CR30.
It looks like a treadmill. The treadmill you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a treadmill printer.
It made an alligator tail.
But and I know this is be hard for you to visualize. On our printers, like mine or Chris's, we would have, if you look at the edge of the treadmill to about that first set of knobs, right about mid of the alligator's tail, that's how much volume we have to print. That's all we get. Whereas, obviously with this, you can see it's on that 45-degree angle, and it's just printing as it's moving down the treadmill. And once it gets to the edge, that tail will pop off, and the head will, it'll continue to print the front half of the alligator, crocodile, whatever it is.
Super cool.
Did they ever announce how much CR30 costs? Oop.
I didn't really get a chance to see. I haven't looked into that one too much.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, but I think it just 300. Oh no, that's a CR10. Oh, $1,000. So yes, the novelty is nice, but it's I think you would almost need a workshop just to house that printer, just because of how much bigger it is than the standard printer. Okay, so this, if you can see it, is it's just kind of, I would assume it's just kind of a torture test, but it's just a print, more of a decoration to make it look like there is a ball underneath the cloth. I'm honestly impressed that all printed. Did we lose hold on. I think that might be it. Can you guys hear me?
You think it might be over? That's
It seems like I muted myself somehow.
Can you guys hear me?
The stream has ended. What happened?
Well, I think that is probably going to do it for the podcast this week, unfortunately. I don't know how we lost connection there, but something seems to have gone on, and I need to try and figure out how or what. So I'm going to leave this off here, and then hopefully we will see you all next week about the same time. And
same
have a good
podcast
rest
channel,
of your night.
same podcast station.